Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, woo! Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing good.
I am fairly new to Instagram, so it takes me a minute to try to figure this out.
No worries. I think I've only done a couple of them, and I've never hosted, so I'm a newbie right there with you.
I've only hosted once, and it went off without a hitch. There was no real problem, so I'm like hoping that's the case with this one too. All right. Well, while everybody funnels in, would you mind introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. My name is Marie Hawkins, and I narrate romance audiobooks. I've been doing it for, I don't know, 4 going on 5 years now. Love it. Um, and feel like it's a great community to be a part of. I mean, there's a lot of support out there for not just the influencers and the authors, but the narrators. So it's a great community to be a part of. So
I agree. I feel like I love how the community is now because I feel like we get to talk to you guys like on a personal level almost, and it's like we get to chat with someone that we are in love with and love to hear. So I think it's a fun experience.
yeah, it's definitely pretty cool. I mean, I'm not one for the conventions and the conferences and stuff.
Mhm.
I'm very introverted, which is why I talk to myself in a box. Um, but I don't mind doing these, and it's less costly too. I don't have to spend thousands to get there. So,
Right,
and I
exactly.
feel like it's a little bit more personal this way too. So,
And you said you've been in this business for 4 to 5 years. What got you started in the audiobook? As a I
well,
guess, persona.
I started doing traditional voiceover.
Okay.
I loved video games. I actually voiced an evil granny on a phone app. Now that was a lot of
Yes.
fun. That was a lot of fun. Um, I think at one point I did like when you're walking through those outlet malls and you hear the voices over the speaker. I did something like that. So I was doing, voiceover work, traditional voiceover work. Um, and I had come across audiobooks. And at first, I've always been a reader. I've always loved to read. And I was like, I don't know if that's something that I would want to do. So one day I gave it a shot. I was like, I'm just going to try this. Why not? So I gave it a shot and I was like, holy crap, I really like doing this. Now, granted, very first book, I mean, now I'm on a 2-for-1 ratio, which means that if you see somebody has, you know, 8 hours of finished audio, it more than
Mhm.
likely took them at least 16 just to record that, just for
Wow.
perspective purposes.
Yeah.
That's if you're on a good ratio, a 2-to-1 ratio. Some people are on a 3-to-1. When I first started, a 1.5 hour audiobook took me probably 8 hours to record, maybe. And
Oh no.
and I think it took me probably about 2 weeks to edit it because I did the editing and proofing and all that kind of stuff. So it was a lot of work, a lot of work. And I was like, God, do I really want to do this and put, this much time and effort into something that honestly I wasn't getting paid for because it was a royalty share.
Right.
So, but I was like, you know what? I really love reading. I'm already have the stuff to do the voiceover. So why not learn and figure it out and get better so that way it's something that I could do sustainably in the future. And I just hankered down and worked my ass off to figure it out and learn. And now, obviously, I'm not spending 8 hours on one finished hour.
Hopefully.
But yeah, so it took me probably a good 6 to 8 months to get into an understanding, just the understanding aspect of how it worked. That's not
Okay.
the behind the scenes of the coaching and all the rest of it, but to really start to truly understand what I was getting into took me about 6 to 8 months. And then after that, and I started getting coaching, that's when I was like, yeah, I really could do this. So I haven't done traditional voiceover probably in the last 3.5, 4 years now.
Really?
Hmm.
Is it a big change from like doing traditional voiceover to audiobooks? I know you guys like get into character, but was it a big adjustment that you had to do with your voice?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Because when you're doing traditional voiceover, I mean, yeah, they want the conversational tone and everything else, but when you're doing traditional voiceover, I mean, they do still have some announcery tone in there, and that was when I started getting coaching. That was what
Mhm.
the coaches kept hammering into me as like, you sound like you're an announcer. Lose the announcer, get to the, we're having a conversation stage. Um, so it is trying to get out of a different mindset. And it's also short form narration. So a 30-second ad might take me, 2 minutes to do in the booth. So
Mhm.
it's a huge pace difference as well to get used to. Now I'm recording in the booth from 8 o'clock until 2 o'clock. Um, and I'm not even done with a project at that point. So it's a huge difference in pace and in tone. Yes, a
Wow.
huge difference.
And how was that process adjusting? Because I can only imagine just like the mental load of that adjustment, but also the physical load of trying to get your voice to change and adapt. Like, how did you process that?
A lot more breaks, because when you're doing the traditional voiceover, like I said, you can pump out, a ton more work in a shorter span of time because you're looking at 30-second ads, 1 minute ads maximum. Now, if you're doing, like the video game character that I told you about that I did, that was really rough on my voice because I had to really go like evil granny because that's what that's what the character called for. And you don't just
Right.
do it one time, you do several multiple different takes. So something like that was a little bit harder on the vocal cords.
Mhm.
Um, but there was a lot more breaks. Like I could be in the booth for 2 minutes, record a 30-second ad, be out, and, come back. Whereas in this, I could be in here for 2 hours at one point talking, and then I have to remind myself, all right, stop, get out, get some oxygen, take a break, rest your vocal cords a little bit so I don't strain them. But sometimes you get so into the script and you get so into the story that I look down at the clock. I'm like, holy crap! Like I need to like walk away for a minute to give myself a breather. So it was a huge change that I had to remind myself to give myself breaks and give myself vocal rest because that is hugely important in this business. If you
Mhm.
don't rest your vocal cords and you strain them, they're shot, then you can't record. And then it'll put you behind on your schedules if you've got other projects backed up.
I can't even imagine because you have to rest. I mean, that's your moneymaker, right? Your voice, so you gotta rest it.
Absolutely. I do not work on weekends just for that reason. Not because I don't want to, but because I feel like I have to have that 2 day rest unless something happens and I can't work a day or if there was a day throughout the week for some reason I couldn't, then obviously I make it up on the weekend. But I use the weekend because we also need to have that pull away time and that work life balance. As much as I love what I do, we have to have that work life balance. Um, so I give myself the Saturday and the Sunday just to rest, you know, get ready for Monday coming forward, and that way I can make sure I give it my all for the start of the week. So
That's awesome. And did you go to school for this? Is this something that you always wanted to do, the voice acting?
I might be like on the other spectrum because I know I've heard a lot of, narrators like, oh yeah, I went to school and I was in theater and, New York. And I actually wasn't like that. Now, growing up when I was younger, elementary school, middle school, I was in drama and I loved drama. I had a teacher though, and this is horrible to say, but I had a teacher that told me it was a dog eat dog world. I would never make it. And she crushed my dreams. Like I was like, even though I might not have had some speaking parts, I was a little reindeer in, a Christmas play or something like that. I really enjoyed doing it. But I stopped pursuing that. I moved on and said, you know what? All right, she's right. I did other things in my life. And
Mhm.
it was before COVID hit, it was probably 2019 or so. And I was like, something just hit me. I was like, I'm going to get back. I want to do voiceover. I want to be that person on the commercial, or I want to be that person in the video games. It was mainly the video games because I love video gaming it up. Like I was in Assassin's Creed. I loved sitting on there playing
Oh my
Assassin. Like I just,
God, yes.
yeah. I Zelda. I mean, I was a video gamer, and I was like, I want to be those voices. I want to be that person that's on that. That's such the coolest job. Like I want to do that.
Yeah.
And you got to start somewhere. So that's when I started researching and I was like, I think I'm going to try to do this. So it started with my head in a tub and a blanket over top of me. And, no joke, like a Tupperware container that you get from Lowe's. And I had drilled like a hole to put the cable through for the microphone that I got off of Amazon. And I was underneath the tub with all these quilts and blankets on me. And I remember I did a directed session one time for, I don't know who it was for, and I was sweating bullets because I'm underneath this. I can't have the air conditioning on. I'm in this tub. I'm suffocating myself. But then it's still, to me, it was like, I love this. I want to do this. So when I realized that I could do it, I worked my butt off to be able to afford to have a custom booth built. And when I had that custom booth built, that's when I was like, you know what? I'm going to go full time with this. I'm going to do this. And that's when I quit what I was doing before and then started doing the traditional voiceover full time. So I never had the acting experience or the training like a lot of the others do. I got into it and ended up getting the coaching. I kind of did it backwards, but I ended up getting the coaching afterwards to really try to figure out what I need to do to, try to be good at it.
I was gonna say, like, we were such big fans, so like hearing your voice, I would have never guessed that you didn't have like previous training and went to school for theater for like 10 plus years or something because you enact the character so well. So I'm always curious what everybody's background is. But now all I'm gonna picture listening to you is like in a bathtub with the mic doing somewhere.
No joke. No, I've done. I wish I could find a picture. I took a picture. If I find one, I'll post it and I'll tag you in it just so you can see. But no joke. It was a Tupperware container. I had the comforters over top of me. It was, when I say sweating bullets, I mean, my shirt was drenched by the time I got out of there.
No doubt. Just suffocating.
Yes. But it was fun. I loved it.
That's when you know that it's your dream because if you're suffocating yourself in a bathtub, but you finished, you're like, that was a good time. I should do it again.
Yeah, let me go.
You found your calling.
Myself some more. We all need a little CO2 in our life.
Yes. And how did the coaching change your voice? What was the type of coaching that you had to go through?
It was tremendous for me because in the very beginning, I mean, I'm not telling anybody to do it, but if you go back and you listen to my very first books that I did, I was shit. Like I sounded horrible. Like I'm like, how do people buy that and give stars? And what is that? Like it sounds horrible, but we all start somewhere, right? And I knew that I sounded different in my mind. I mean, I don't like to listen back to my audio because I don't like the sound of my voice. So I will never listen to one of my books that I've done. Not once have I ever done it. The only time that I have done it is if there's like a book that I'm like, I really liked that book. And it's like, let's say a dual point of view. I'll listen to the co-narrator's side of it. I'll skip my side because obviously I recorded it. I already know what that side is, but I want to hear the co-narrator because I really enjoyed the story. But I never listened to myself because I hate the way I sound. But I knew I sounded different. I knew something was off. So I went to at least 5 or 6 different coaches. And that's not a bad thing. And I'm not saying that I didn't click. And every single one of them was amazing in their own way. They gave me great advice. But I'm the type of person, it's almost like if you go on Google and you search something. You're not going to take the very first search topic and say, okay, there's the answer, right? You're going to go and you're going to do your research and you're going to look at 5, 6, 7 different links and get different information from different sources. That's kind of what my perspective on it was, is this person is great. I love what they told me. I loved how they helped me. I want to go to somebody else because maybe they see something different. Maybe they have a different angle and view on it. So then I went to 5 or 6 different coaches. Each one gave me different pieces of advice. And I was able to take all those pieces of advice and say, okay, I'm going to do that. That works for me. I can do that. And then I kind of put it all together and made it my own. I want to give props to Sarah Puckett at Pink Flamingo, because she was the one where it clicked with me, my tone, my changing of my tone, because I had already gone to 3 or 4 different coaches, got great advice from them, put those into perspective. But for my tone change, she's the one that something, I don't even know what it is that she said, something she said clicked with me. And I was like, fuck, I've been doing it like that all along. I should have been doing it like this. And then I went to several different coaches after her just to get more perspective and more advice and give me all the knowledge that you can give me. That's the type of person that I am. I want everything. Give me everything. Tell me everything that you know. And I want to use all of your knowledge. I'm not just going to pick one person's brain. I want to pick 15 different people's brains. It cost me some money to do it, but I feel like it helped me. And I'm happy with everybody that I worked with. So all of them combined really did change. And I still, to this day, like Aaron Moon, I sent up an email maybe last year, and I was like, hey, help me with my male voices. Because somebody said I sounded Boston when I do a male, and no, I'm like dead serious. I don't look at reviews either, because you take it with a grain of salt. It's subjective. But if I see reviews or if I hear there's something technical that I'm doing, not somebody's opinion of, I don't like the way she says her A's. Okay, well, that's just how I talk. Or, I don't like how she goes up an octave or whatever. It's all subjective. But if I see something technically that I need to work on, then I'm going to call up a coach and be like, hey, can you help me work on this? Because I feel like I want to constantly be learning and growing, and there's always room to improve.
And you're the biggest investment that you have. You're investing in yourself. So I'm like the exact same way. If I take on anything, the amount of research that I gobble up before I even begin, it's just enormous. I will be drowning myself in I took up sourdough. The amount of videos and websites and blogs that I researched before I even had a starter or knew how to get a starter. I went into it like, okay, this is what I need to do because so-and-so on blog, so-and-so said so. So I completely get it. But that just improves your ability. So I commend you for doing that.
Well, thank you. I'm the same way, just like you with everything. I tried doing candle making one time. And I was like, yeah, like I went to same thing as you. I went through all of these websites and all this stuff. And then I tried it and I was like, yeah, this is not for me. But I went like you. I went through like 15 different rabbit holes figuring out the temperatures and the processes. And I even destroyed some of my own my own cooking pots and stuff trying to do this. Yes, because I didn't want to spend the money on it if I didn't feel like it's something that I would be able to move forward with. But just like you, I watched like a million different videos and before I even attempted to do it. And then when I tried it, I was like, yeah, no, this ain't for me. I'm not this patient. I'm not going to sit here and watch this stuff get to a certain temperature and nope.
Oh my gosh. Yep, that was me. And then I took on sour because it was like 2020 and I was like, yeah, I can do this. This is cake. I'm going to be home all the time, right? I got pregnant in 2020 and then I got sourdough and I didn't know I was pregnant when I got sourdough. Sourdough is basically another kid. And then I was violently sick while pregnant. So I'm like trying to keep it alive while struggling to stand. And I'm like, this is fine. Oh, it was so bad. I remember one time you feed the sourdough and I fed it and I guess I fed it too much. I don't know what happened, but it exploded on my counter. So like we got up in the morning just see like this giant just mess all over the counter and my husband's like, what? I was like, you know what? I'm gonna Google it because I don't even know what that is. In all my research, nobody told me it could explode, so I don't know.
Yeah, put it on a diet.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know what I did. It's fine. But now I'm like 5 years in, and it's fine. I
Oh,
have
you're still
like
doing
four
it? Oh,
girls.
that's cool.
I am, yes, and I got my kids doing it. They request recipes all the time, so it's work, and but it benefits us afterwards.
Oh, I love sourdough bread though. It's so good. I'm a bread lover in the first place. I mean, you put a piece of bread in front of me, like the Hawaiian dinner rolls, I could probably eat 4 or 5 in one sitting. They're so good.
Yes. That's the whole reason I got into it. Was I had to be on a strict diet. It had to be gut healthy, and like nothing is like as gut healthy as sourdough. So I was like, I can do this. No. But I actually came across your audiobooks when I was listening to I don't know if I could say the title on here, so I'll just say Mind Duck series.
Yes.
That was my first introduction to you, and I flew through those audiobooks. And I was like, I don't know who you are, but I need you to voice everything I listen to.
That was a great series. I didn't realize when Tantor Audio is the one that did that one, and when they asked if I wanted to come on board for it, oh yeah, sure, why not? I didn't realize that it was a big series. I mean, I didn't realize how big that book was until after it came out, and I saw how much it was before the audiobook had even come out. I saw, after it came out. But I saw how big her work, rest in peace, I saw how big her work was. And I was like, man, I got to be a part of that. That is awesome. That's really cool. And that was still when I was finding myself too. I was still kind of in that point of, learning how to get out of the voiceover realm and getting into the narrator realm. And I got past the whole, hey, it clicks. This is what I should be sounding like, not like that. So I feel like in my infancy stages on that book, but I'm still proud of it where I was. And I'll be honest with you, at the very end, I don't want to do any, so spoilers, if you're listening, people, and you haven't heard it and you want to hear it, now's the time to mute. But the very last book where she was like in that gunfight at the very end, and she was kind of giving her goodbyes, to the camera and stuff. I actually broke down in that scene, and I had to stop recording, get out of the booth, and give myself some time, to like recoup, because it was a super emotional. Like, she's saying her goodbye. She thinks she's dying, But I had to recoup from that scene. But I feel like that wasn't a turning point, but it was for me in a sense. I feel like that was a true series of, I was like, wow, like I know how to connect. I know how to, for some reason that changed my perspective on things as far as the connection with books. I don't know why, can't answer, but it did. It really helped move me into a different realm for myself, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that was one. I think that was my first dark romance because I went from like Nicholas Sparks, and then I had found her recommendation. It was before I was on Book Talk. I had found her recommendation through somewhere, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna dive into it. And I devoured it, and then I found the audiobook, and I was like, okay, well, I loved it so much, I'm gonna experience it in audio. And that's where I discovered you. I was like, this is amazing. This is a good time. I'm having a great time. But I felt, you said it was in your like younger or your newer stage of audio, but I felt your emotions when you were voicing her. And I was like, there were those points in that book that I was just sobbing, and I would have to pause it because, I mean, her journey was not nice. It was a
Yeah.
hard journey, and I cried reading it. So like hearing you voice it and bring her character to life just hit in such a deeper level because now I felt like I was seeing it through her eyes even more and hearing her voice crack at explaining what happened to her and the goodbye scene. That scene broke me. So I can only imagine how you would have to voice it and not cry.
Well, and that's the thing is, like, when we do, like, you got to think our noses get stuffy. So we got to I have to, if I were to
Right.
try to record after that, I just sound like Kajessa like this, and it wouldn't work. So I'd have to get my nose back to it. Like, it sucked. But see, and that's the hard part, too, is you want to have that emotional connection. But she was also, remember the detachment that she had, too. Like, it was a very fine line that I had to walk. And I know I heard some people say, well, she sounded a little monotone. Well, parts of it, that's because that was her personality.
No,
Parts
yeah,
of it, that's because that's how she was. She shut down her emotions. She was just
disassociated.
walking through life. So if I sounded monotone, great. That's how she was supposed to be. It wasn't until, maybe book 3 that she really her emotions started to come forth in it. And that's also when I started to, really come into it too. But I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Thank
It
you.
was an amazing. I really, that book will always stick with me, just because of the storyline too. She did an amazing job with it.
Or that was it's still one of my that was my first physical book purchase. And because I never bought physical books, I just had my Kindle. But that was the first one I purchased because I was so in love with the story. And I do agree, like sometimes when you were doing the audio, you come out cold, but there was nothing that I didn't expect from the character. I felt like you were very true to the character. She was very disassociated.
Hmm.
And you depicting that only made me envision her and get so much more attached to her because she had that cold persona. But then as you moved on in the books, you see like her walls are slowly coming down because of the MMC, because she's progressing in her, revenge plot. So I loved your progression and I felt it throughout. And that last book took me out and I was just crying.
It did me too. Yeah.
And I finished it. I was just like a blubbering mess. I was like, that was such a good experience.
God, I would go back and read if I had time to read, like the pleasure read, because I don't have time anymore because I'm always pre-reading. I always read a book before I do it. So I'm always pre-reading. I haven't had time to pleasure read in probably, God, a year. But if I were to pleasure read, that would be one of them that I would go back and reread just for the experience of it because it's that good.
It's valid. That was such a great book. I was just going to ask you too if you do a cold read or if you prepped and did pre-reading. Because I'm always curious how people, especially with big plot twists, how they voice like that complete shock or something devastating when you already know it's coming versus like us as readers reading it for the first time and then getting that like immediate shocked reaction.
I kind of do a hybrid, honestly. Because I know that there's a lot of narrators out there and they mark up the scripts and they do like intense reading. They read it and then they read it again and they read it again. And then there's some out there that can do complete cold reads because they want to experience it with the reader. Um, I don't have time, number one, to read a book 3 times. Number two, I don't feel for my processes that it would help me. It might help others, but it doesn't help me. I don't mark it up. I don't do anything. The only time that I might make notes is if there's accents that I need to be aware of. Um, at that point is when I mark something up. But what I like to do, I think the cold read is a good idea as well because you do get to experience it and discover it while the listener is. However, I feel like it's important to know the characters. I feel it's important to know what's going to happen. Am I going to start off strong and be a badass, or am I going to start off, kind of like in a shell and I come out of it later? I feel like for me that transformation is important. So what I like to do is I actually will read the book 3 weeks, sometimes 4 weeks in advance before I've marked myself to record it. So that way I've read it. I know what's going to happen, but by the time I get to it on recording, it's more so like I am almost discovering it at the same time because at that point I've already pre-read other books, I've already recorded other books, so it's not
Okay.
fresh in my mind. I'm still like, oh wow, that happened. I forgot that happened. So it's kind of like a hybrid of both. It gives me the foresight that I need to know without being so fresh that I can't discover it along with the reader. And
Mhm.
if it's not available to me from the production company or the publishing house, I know that a lot of authors have their books on Kindle Unlimited, and I know that they get money for every page that's read. My perspective is they're allowing me to be able to voice their character. The least that I can do is help them in some way. So I like to read their book on Kindle Unlimited. So they can get they can get some type of dividends. I don't know if it's a lot, I don't know what it is. So they can get something out of it, because if I'm already going to be reading it, yeah, when I get the manuscript, maybe some lines are changed, maybe some words are different, they switched up yellow instead of blue. I can That's not going to bother me while I'm recording it. But I want them to get something out of it while I'm pre-reading it. So I will always do the Kindle Unlimited version unless it's something that I can't get before I start recording.
I love that you do that though, because you're showing not only like your support to authors, but you're also supporting like us as readers because we go through and read it and you're going through that experience with us. And I feel like that gives you a fresh perspective when you go and record. So I think that's amazing that you do that. And I know that some authors that are in here are just applauding that too, because it's just so sweet that you actually take in consideration other people as well before you go in and do a project.
No, like I said, if they're giving me the opportunity to voice their work, the least that I can do, it doesn't cost me anything to read it on Kindle Unlimited, but it helps them. So that's the least that I can do, you know. I'm not going to record off of it. I'll record off the manuscript that I get, but I try to do that, like I said, with every script. So
I love that. I know I dove into Unhinged and your character in Unhinged was so fun to listen to. And I've been following your journey with your audiobooks and just seeing how your voice has grown is such a fun experience. So when I dove into Unhinged, I was like, oh my gosh, like she's going for it.
it's fun too when you feel, I don't want to say like confident, but you feel more comfortable in what you're doing now versus when I did the M series, the MF series. I'll just say MF series. Now I feel more comfortable of taking liberties while I'm in there to portray and do things that I wouldn't have felt comfortable doing in the MF series. Whereas, because I know that, hey, the production company or the publishing house is okay, they trust me to do this, and the author trusts me to do this, and I feel more comfortable doing this, and I know that it's not going to be a problem. So yeah, I mean, the change between that and, is huge, I feel.
I know I've just been enjoying your journey because it's been between that and now when I got to Unhinged, I was just baffled at how you embodied her character, and I was like, yes, I'm over here cheering you on. I'm like, you go, you do it.
Thank you. I feel like I get a lot of books where I can be, I don't know what cuss words can we say on here? Like, I don't
I
want
have
to
no
get you
idea.
taken off because I am like a sailor when I talk normally. So I don't want to get you like
Oh
removed
no,
or banned or anything.
I'm the same way, but like I know with TikTok is very finicky, so I'm always trying to find like either like make my words sound similar or just completely just do a different word.
Well, I'm going to attempt to filter myself. So if something slips and you get banned or you get your account closed, I'm
You're okay.
apologizing in advance.
You're okay. We have had many times that we've been removed off of TikTok, so it's okay.
Oh my God, it's crazy. I don't even know what we were talking about now. It was.
Me cheering you on.
Oh yeah. So I feel like I get a lot of the bad A girls, and I feel like uh, they're snarky and they're like they have some attitude to them, and it's funny because I feel like I fit into that super easily. I don't know why. I don't know if it's because I'm not like that in real life. I'm not a bee in real life. I don't have an attitude. I'm not snarky. If anything, I'm like the happy little leprechaun going around pranking people. I'm just no joke. Like, I'm the type of person, like, I'll move things around in my cabinets just so when you wake up in the morning, you go to grab a cup for coffee and you're like, wait a second, where the hell did the coffee go? I'm like, it's on the other side. You gotta go get. That's me. I do it just because. There's no rhyme or reason. I'll move things around just because, like, just because I want to, just because I want. So the fact that I get those characters, maybe I like embodying something that I'm not. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know.
No, and someone just brought up the book by DJ Crummer. When I was listening to your character, she is snarky. Like
Mhm.
she was just the sassiest person, and the way she kind of like flipped the switch on him and was like, "Oh, really? You want to do this? I can do it better." I was just like, "Yes."
I want to be an evil character. Like, I don't know why. Like, I so want to be an evil. I just want to be that person. Like, just like I want to be mean and angry and evil. I don't know why, because again, that's not me. But one of these days, I'm going to be an evil person, and then you're going to really see a different side of me.
I look so forward to it because I just like I've loved listening to you do different characters, and your like mean, funny characters are my favorite because they're so sassy. And I don't know how many takes it takes you, but like you're so quick-witted in your responses and how your voice changes when I listen to it. I'm like, ooh, she put him in his place.
It is fun. The banter is a lot of fun. I like doing that. It's when the in the duets it's a little bit difficult because you're having to stop, duets when you're doing a duel, for those out there that are listening that don't know the difference, the duel is when, you do all of the voices in the POV that you're in, the point of view that you're in. Male, female, doesn't matter. Duet is when I do only female and the other person does only male. So when I'm doing duel, it's easy because, I'm in the full scene. But when I'm doing duet, it's a little bit difficult because I have to stop, which can kind of pull you out of it a little bit, and then get back into it. And so it can be a little bit tougher to do that and make it seem seamless, but it is still fun.
And when you do record and you have to voice either multiple female main characters or do like the male main characters, do you record it all the way through or do you just do one voice and then come back?
All the way through. Just like if you're reading the book, I'm reading it all the way through. The only time I've never gone back to do anything, sometimes I have to stop because I'll be honest with you, I'm not great with accents. I'm still learning. I'd like to get a coach when I have the free time to do more accents because right now it's YouTube is my best friend. I mean, I go on there and
That's
I listen.
everybody's.
It really is. I go on there and I listen. Like I was listening to Irish people today just to see who can I go to for a book that's going to be coming up that's going to be Irish. They're going to have a lot of Irish accents in there. Um, so when I'm switching from like Irish to British to Russian, then back to American all in one conversation, it's really tough, really tough. So you've got to do a lot of stopping and starting, but it's never, that's the only time that I will say that I have, if it's a conversation, that I have possibly gone back and said, okay, I'm going to do all of the Irish dudes' voices, and then I'm going to do all of the Russian dudes' voices just for time efficiency purposes, and also so that way it doesn't keep pulling me out because I'm not that good to be able to switch back and forth quickly. But as far as like the whole book, no, you just read it from start to finish. You don't go in and import it.
I'm always curious because I guess for me, when I'm thinking of you guys recording it, I feel like it would be so hard for me to be like, okay, like this is me being talking to you, and then switching to like putting my man voice on and be like, this is me talking back to me. So I'm like, I'm always trying to feel like, are you guys sitting in the booth, or you guys are just like moving so you know like which which person you're speaking of now? Like, okay, now I'm the girl, like now I'm the guy, now I'm the grandma. Like I need to know
Well, it's
how you
funny that you
switch.
say that because it's all posture too. Like
Okay.
when you're a grandma, you might be a little bit. I think of a hunched over, so I might hunch myself over a little bit when I'm doing a grandma, unless she is like that grandma that you see at Jazzercise or something. But that's a little bit different. Uh, but then you have then you have the male who might be like buff and stuff, so then you've got to puff your chest out, so we do actually move a little bit, well at least I know I do, or I try to do the postures of the characters. If I were to move back and forth like that though, the microphone would pick it up, so we have to keep our head in like the same spot. It would be very awkward. I could move my eyes back and forth, but I couldn't move my head.
That is rough. I didn't even think, because yeah, your movements. Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine your poor back just sitting there the whole time, just like doing all these movements to get your voices. You're gonna
I'm
need a
a big
massage too.
hand. I do. I have a chair that I just bought because my last chair I had for 7, 8 years, and it was like one of those office chairs because I used to work from home before I did this. Uh, so I had like this really nice chair, and that's super important. There are some people who stand and they record. I don't know how they do that. That would kill my feet and my back. Not sure how they do it. Kudos to them because I couldn't do it. I've tried. But I sit, and it's actually the only problem that I have. As long as I get up after maybe every chapter, unless it's a super long chapter or something, then I'll, you know, if as long as I get up and give myself some time. I have had times where my butt has gone numb. That's
Oh
not
no,
fun.
that's the worst
Because
feeling.
yes, because you're sitting in the same spot. I might move my arms and my hands around, but then I get up, I'm like, oh God, my ass, but other than it, so it's not so my butt, it's more my, I mean, that's not, it's not so my back, it's more my butt that I end up having problems with.
I can just imagine you like you going into the booth and all the person people hear on the outside is my butt.
I need to get myself like one of those little donuts that you see like in people sit on when they've had like some type of surgery. I'll end up seeing. I'll get one of those if I have to. I'll end up getting one of those. But then the problem is the microphone picks up the noise, and you'd hear this or probably when I'm moving around on the donut. And I don't think y'all need those sound effects in the book.
I would
Oh,
love those sound effects in the book. To be honest. It
I
would
can hear
just
you now.
make
You're
my
going, yep.
experience. I'm like, oh, she's switching characters.
She's switching characters. She's making sure her butt doesn't go numb.
Like, I wonder how long she was working before she made that move.
Moving to the right ass cheek. The left one's good now.
I devoured one of your other books too. It was Burning Ember, the motorcycle club.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, that character was so fun. And I just love how like her MMC was just grouchy. He was
Yes.
so mean.
Darby did an amazing job with that. And the fact that she wrote it over 10 years ago, I mean,
Really?
she did. She wrote it over 10 years ago. I mean, she went through and she did some, edits to it, but she wrote the initial book 10 years ago. It was an amazing story. It really was.
I loved it, yeah.
It's one of my favorite. I shouldn't say this because I'm not supposed to have favorites. Like when we're narrators, we don't have favorites just because you're not supposed to. So I'm going to say it's in my top favorites, and I'm going to put it in the MC, the motorcycle genre, of one of the favorites that I've done. Because she just, and I think the fact that she did it in duet,
Mhm.
yes, it could have been done well in dual regardless, but I think the fact that it was done in duet is just, it enhanced the story and the experience. It was amazing. It was just an amazing story. It was a really amazing story.
I loved it. I want to say that's
Precious,
probably it
you're
was
not
one of
allowed to have favorite kids. Bad mama.
I saw
I
I
haven't been
want to
paying
say it's
attention to the
probably
comments, but I see that and I'm like, Precious, you're not
I
being
know,
precious right now.
that was probably one of my favorites to listen to that you did, and I was just like baffled at how well you did that book. Like you always do an exceptional job, but that one had me so floored. And I lowered the speed. I am an ADHD girly, so I listen to my audiobooks on 2 times speed. So if you sound good at 2 times, like you're in my top. I lowered it because I was like, I need this book to last longer because I was so entranced with you doing her character. And I was like, I'm gonna need to slow this down to 1.5 and just kind of just be here for the ride. Just like, just have a good time listening to you.
That was, I like, I haven't done, believe it or not, I have not done a lot of emotional books. I've done a lot of, there is emotion in the books. So I don't want people to think that that's, I'm not saying, but when it comes, there's a difference between like an angsty emotional book and, a normal dark romance. And like, there's different because I don't want this to come off the wrong way, but there was a lot of internal emotions, I'll put it that way, in that book, and a lot of struggles that she was going through that for me are like really real life struggles that people go through. And I loved being able to play that part and to bring that out. I loved having the opportunity to be able to do that because I don't get that a lot, you know? So the fact that I got to do a book with, you know, that emotional struggle and turmoil, and it was, I really, really enjoyed doing it.
And I think that's why I guess it touched me so much because it did feel very emotional. It felt very raw to listen to. And you encompassed her character so well that I was just obsessed. And I fly through books, especially when they're outstanding. So I was like, okay, I need to calm down and I need to take my time with this book because I'm going to be so mad when I finish it.
I'm curious, I'm just curious. If you listen to it at 2 times speed, if I were to speak like really fast, because there are some fast narrators, I've read some fast books at one, does it sound like chipmunks at that point to you? Or are you used to it because you're at the two times speed?
So I'm used to, in my earbud, it sounds normal. But I have had it where my earbud has died and then like my phone continues to play and it sounds ridiculous. But like if I put my earbud in, it's normal. It is
Hmm.
how I can hear like normal conversations and it drives my husband crazy.
So even if it's like a fast narrator, like they're talking really fast, like they're talking like this, it sounds normal? Wow. I would
Mhm.
think that it would speed it up with the speed up and then it would sound, that's crazy. That's wild.
And I that's the only way I can process like reading audiobooks without getting distracted and like missing a giant chunk. It has to be at 2 times speed. And some narrators sound really, really good. And I think I've only had one time where I had to slow it down because I couldn't understand it. I think it was because it was like a autobiography. But otherwise, everybody sounds like they're speaking at a normal pace in my head at 2 times speed.
That's amazing to me. Like that's just like I in high school or when I was in college, I think I took like a psychology class. And that's amazing. Like the brain, the way that the brain works and processes it to me is just it's crazy. Like my brain, I wouldn't be able to do that. One for me is like I couldn't go higher than one. But for you, that's normal. Like your two is my one. And it's just
Yeah.
crazy how our brains are just like wired and how they work. That's wild.
Yeah, that was that was one of the big indicators for my therapist that I had ADHD because I was like, yeah, like I could listen to it and it sounds like super fast, but it's fine. And she was like, really? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, hmm. She was like, that sounds like normal talk. I was like, that's how fast my brain like works though for me. Like I'm always spitfiring so much stuff in my brain. I have so many tabs open, and I'm like, okay, well maybe that's why.
You know what though? The fact that they have the option to speed it up is amazing. And I'm glad that they did that because I know that there's debates out there of, you know, people say, no, you can't listen to it at that speed, or no, you shouldn't listen to it at a slower speed. And I know there's the debate out there. It's to each his own, in my opinion. We're all different, you know, and we all process things differently. So the fact that that's something that's somebody recognized and they've made it available to listeners, that's amazing that you get that option, you know?
And I like, yeah, like you said, I love that that's an option because for me, I couldn't listen to 1 point speed. It sounds like I'm listening to like the most monotone, slow, like college instruction, and I couldn't get through it. So
You know
thank
what?
God someone was like, okay, do it.
That sparks now. That's just like my brain over here, all little light bulbs come on. And you know how they've said audiobooks has jumped in popularity like massively. I wonder if that's part of it because I remember growing up going to the library and they had the area where the books on tape was and you had the
Oh yeah.
cassette tapes and you'd go over there, and I was an audiobook listener then too. But you'd go over there and and you get into your vehicle before CDs, you'd get into your vehicle and you pop the tape in there and you'd listen until they said, please change to tape 2. You know, that kind
Yeah.
of. So
I
I
couldn't do
wonder
it though.
if
Yep.
Yeah, I wonder if it's grown in that's part of it, is that we've made more options because you couldn't do that on the old school tapes in the cars and stuff. So I wonder if that's
Mhm.
part of it. If they've given more listeners more options, what makes it easier for them to listen to it.
Yeah, I agree because I couldn't do that, especially in school when we would have to like listen to demonstrations on audio and you had your headphones and you couldn't just speak. It was just so I would my brain would not focus and I would just be like looking elsewhere, doing something else, picking at myself, and I would just not absorb anything. So I had recently had found audiobooks, and yours was the first one that I did, and it was the Mind Duck, and I did it super. I had to like speed it up, and it's like the more I sped it up, I was able to like listen to it, and I was actually able to like to do other stuff around the house while listening to it and completely absorbing this and like not focusing on stuff around me. And I was like, oh, I can be productive this way.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I love it that way. So yes, you sound excellent at 2 times speed, just so you know.
Woo! But I don't need to talk to you in 2 point speed, I hope, because I don't know if I could do that.
No, I don't know why, but it's just like books wise, I need it fast, and I need like fast page books as well, fast paced books as well. So,
That's awesome. So no, so what about the slow angsty? I mean, I feel like this, I'm interviewing you. Slow angsty. Are you into slow angsty?
so my rule of thumb, and I know I make a lot of people mad doing this. I don't read the synopsis. I don't read trigger warnings. I go and you have 50 pages to get me.
Interesting.
And if you can get me intrigued into the story and like the characters within 50 pages, I will more than likely finish the book. But if you
Hmm,
can't get me in 50 pages, I DNF and I completely forget about it and it will never re-enter my brain again.
interesting.
Just
I
I'm
like
like
it.
this serial DNFer and it drives people nuts because they're like, I can't DNF. I was like, oh, I forgot I even picked up that book until I looked at Goodreads and it says DNF. And I was like, okay, well, I don't need to go back.
Well, like
I
I
just sign
said,
out
to
of
each
mine.
his own.
See, I cannot DNF no matter what. Nope. Got 50 pages.
Tough cookie.
And when I start audiobooks, if I don't like your voice, I'm out. But like that's why I'm like, if I like your voice, I'm obsessed with you, and you'll see me everywhere reading your books. I'm like, I like you. You sound really good. I'm obsessed. So you'll always see me giving you positive reviews. I will never say you have a Boston accent as a
Well,
mail nerd.
I, no joke, I really did, and that was horrible. And when I listened back to it, like people were doing like those sick face emojis. I'm like, God, is it really that bad? And like I said, I don't. Yes, it was. I was. It was pretty rough. Like I said, I don't read reviews just because it's subjective, but I will occasionally. In the very beginning, though, I was because I want to know what am I doing wrong? Where can I improve? If I have enough people telling me you're doing X, Y, and Z, and it's a technical thing, then there's a problem. And because I've always had the mentality of if five people say it's one thing and one person says it's completely different, then I'm going to say, all right, wait a second. Maybe the five people are onto something. So when I called up my coach and I was like, hey, listen, this is what I'm getting. I want to know, do you hear it? Because you're a coach, so you're the professional. Do you hear it? And she's like, yeah, you do. And I'm like, fudge, help me fix this so I don't sound like I'm from Boston and people giving, okay, maybe Joe can do it on, DJ's book, but I can't. Okay. I can't. So I need you to fix me. So she helped me walk through it. And I know not a lot of people like dual because they're like, oh God, a woman doing a man's voice and a man doing a woman's voice. They don't like it. And again, that's fine. We all have, if everybody liked the color purple, then the world would be so bland and boring. So I'm glad you like the color red or the color blue. That's how I feel about people liking dual versus duet, whatever. But for those that do appreciate it and do want to listen to it, I wanted to fix it. And she told me I did sound like I was from Boston, so I fixed it. I think I fixed it. I don't know. We'll see.
It's that's funny that you say that. I can listen to women narrators do female and male voice and not have a problem. And but when a male does, especially when he has a really deep, just like pitch to his voice, and then he does a female voice, I'm too busy laughing. Like there was one I listened to, and his female voice sounded like Stewie, and I could not focus. And I was like, I'm gonna have to read her point of views and just listen to his point of views because I laughed the whole time.
And you know what? That's why there are so many of us out there. That's why there are so many of us because, it's just need a little diversity out there.
It could have also been it was at 2 times speed, so maybe
Well, that could definitely have played a small portion to it.
it's just small. But I was just cackling the whole time because all I picture is like little Stewie running around.
And that's
Go
the
figure.
problem is when you get that image in your head, like it doesn't matter what you
Yeah,
do. And it doesn't matter if the person didn't even really truly sound like that. If you have that mental picture in your head, you're not going to be able to get
I'm
it out.
fucked. Yeah. But I will say I've never had a problem with your male voice. I actually enjoyed your male voice, so I was like, all
Oh,
right,
well, thank
well,
you. Oh,
I didn't
because when
hear
I
it.
first listened to it, I was like, "Oh, I kind of sound sexy," and then, and then I saw all those. I was like, "I'd f me if I was a girl." You sound good. You're talking to the whole go back and forth, looking back and forth. Hey, how you doing? I mean, but yeah, no, it's
I would have dated me just fine.
until I until I started seeing the sick face emojis, and I was like, all right, maybe I'm not as sexy as I thought I was.
No, you're just not their type, and they're just hating on you.
That's
We
why
were
we got
enjoying
Bob
everything.
upstairs.
We were enjoying you. So I loved your work. Are you working on anything upcoming that you are excited about that you're
Yes.
allowed to share?
I don't know if I'm allowed to share it. I'm working on something right now. It's a single point of view, which I haven't done one of those in a while. Like it's been a long time since I've done a single point of view, and it's a dark romance. I don't want to give too much away because I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about it. Um, but it's definitely different. It's different. It's a lot of fun. But I have a couple other projects that are coming up too that I'm excited about. Again, I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about it.
I know I don't want to get you in
Sorry.
trouble. I was just like, are you
I
excited
don't
about
get in
it?
trouble. I don't want to talk about it. Yeah, I have a couple good projects that are coming up that I'm really excited about.
Just blink once if it's this, blink twice if it's that.
Well, considering my face isn't there, I'll click once. Click
There
once,
we go.
twice. One speed, two
There,
speed.
there we go. And I know you said you don't do signings. Are you planning on doing any?
Honestly, I don't think so. Only because it's sad to say, but I've seen people out there like, oh my God, that's what that narrator looks like. I would never have guessed. And now I can't listen to that person because this is how that person looks. I had the picture that I sent to you. I just changed it and I was going to change it back, but I don't want people to see what I look like. One, for anonymity purposes. If my mom found out what I did, she would probably take me to get exercised because, and I don't want my mama mad at me. Okay, so and she knows my face because she birthed me, so I got to keep my face out of there. But also the picture that I had done by, gosh, what's her name? Mickey, I think it is, on Instagram. She did a beautiful job of trying to portray what I wanted people to see. So the picture that I sent to you is, I don't want you to see what I look like because then you're going to typecast me to all of those particular books, you know? So if you don't know what I look like, then my voice will fit your person. Not
Oh,
necessarily, so it's me morphing into whoever, that's what the picture was, is me morphing into whoever the author really needs me to be is what I look like. And I feel like if I put my face out there, then they're going to associate my face with that character. So not only is it for the authors, but it's for the listeners and the readers. I don't want them to see my face when they're reading that book. I want them to see the face of the character that the author wrote. And if you know what I look like and you're listening to the book, you're going to see my face. You're not going to see who the author is asking me to portray. So that's another reason why I don't do it for that purpose, because I don't want you to see me. I want you to see that character. Um, so I probably will not do signings for expense reasons because they're expensive. I don't think a lot of people know that narrators going to it, they don't get anything out of it. You know, it's a networking event to meet the authors and to meet the listeners and that kind of thing, but they have to pay for the airfare to get there. They have to pay for the hotel to stay there. They have to pay for the booth because it costs for the booth. If there is any type of stuff that they're merchandise that they're handing out, they have to pay for all of that as well. It's a lot of money, and that they're having to come out of their pocket. Yes, it can be considered a business expense, but it's a lot of money that comes out of your pocket. And for me, I'd rather do this with you. And I also hear a lot of listeners only get like 2 seconds with the person and then they're off and they have to go to the next spot because the listener is trying to smash in as much time with everybody that they can possibly get in while they're there. I feel like this is a little bit more personal in a sense to where we're on here for as long as, you know, we're on here for. And I'm not paying attention to the chat because my brain can't process if the chat's saying what I need to say. So I'm not looking. So I apologize, people, if you're saying hi or asking questions. I'm not looking. I'm just my brain can't do it. But I'm here. I hear you. I see it. But I feel like it's a little bit more personal this way, and they can always go back and listen later too. So that's another reason why I don't think that I'll do the signings.
That makes sense. That's a very unique way of thinking of narration. I personally never put two and two together. Like if like Teddy Hamilton, we know how he looks like. I've never pictured him as a character, but I can see where you're coming from. I can see both sides of it. So that's a very valid point because people are so mean. I don't understand why they're like that. You guys are humans as well, that you are portraying characters. Like actors are gonna look different acting than in their normal life. So I don't know why that's such a hard concept for people to wrap around.
I think, unfortunately, people get so invested in the characters, maybe, or the performers. I don't know what it is. I don't know, and it is sad that that's what happens. So for me, that's my way of like, all right, I'm going to prevent it from happening, at least from my angle.
But then it also makes you comfortable, which is the most important thing. We want you to feel comfortable and you feel like it's a safe environment. So if this is a place where you feel more comfortable, more safe, and it's better for your mental state and your sanity, then by all means, like that's what you need to do. But I wish people weren't like that. So you could have the option if you chose to. Because people ruin nice things. That's why we can't have nice things.
That's okay.
But I'm utterly obsessed with your work. So I'm always like looking on your pages. Like, is she announcing anything? Is she working on a project? She's been tagged in anything?
Well, thank you. Like I said, there's a lot coming through the pipeline that I'm excited about. New authors that I get to work with. I love working. It doesn't matter what it is. I mean, I have a hard time saying no to. Like I don't care. I have no triggers. I have no problems with anything. One of the production companies reached out, and they're amazing to work with, and they were like, "Hey, we just realized that this was a trigger. You know, is that okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, no problem. I'm fine with that." And I'm willing. I feel like if the author put the time to write the story, then it meant something to them. It had some piece of them in it. Then sure, I'll be a part of it. You know, I'd like to help them be a part of it. So whether it's an indie or whether it's through a production company or whatever, you know, I don't mind what the story is. I'll help you. So I'm excited about the stuff that's coming in through the pipelines.
We are excited too, and we'll be super excited once we see it. And is there a genre that you haven't done yet that you want to do?
I am a very laid back, nothing really bothers me type person. I'll try anything. I don't have any specifics, honestly, at the top of my head. I love psychological thrillers and I love
Ooh,
romance. So a romantic psychological thriller would be great. But I'm not a picky person by no means. So I mean, I'll be honest with you, the daddy books, like I can get into them, but when the girls start wearing the diapers and stuff, I'll do it if
right,
that's your thing. I'm not going to yuck your yum. I'll do it if that's your
right,
thing. It's not my thing. I'm not going to walk around wearing diapers or anything.
right.
But I'm willing to do just about anything.
I know. I was curious if you would ever do like a monster romance.
Oh, that'd be super cool. I would love to do a monster romance. And then,
I
uh,
they're my guilty
but I
pleasures.
have to be able to visualize it. So as long as the writing is there to where I can visualize what's happening, because
Right.
I don't want to. I will be honest because while I'm pre-reading, I'll look up and I'm like, okay, what is that? Some of the stuff that my Google search, I'm like, what is that?
Oh my.
So at least I can visualize it while I'm recording it. So as long as I can get a visual, that would be really cool.
Yep. I get in so much trouble, dude, especially with dark romance because like they'll say something I'm like, what is that? Or piercings. Oh my God, piercings get me in so much trouble because I'm like, shoot, they'll describe it, but I'll be like, how does that look like? Or if I don't, but my book club will crucify me here in a minute. There was a certain book I couldn't figure out how everything was moving because there was a lot of moving parts. So I drew like a stick figure diagram kind to kind of help picture it, and they just went with it.
Okay.
I'm like, there's five guys. How am I supposed to figure out how everything's going? Okay, I'm gonna need a visual.
What wait, where? I actually Googled one time because when I was reading, I was like, can that actually happen? There's no way. So I Googled it. I was like, holy shit, that could actually happen. And then I'm thinking about it and I'm like, wow, I don't know if I'd ever want that to happen to me. Some of this stuff these authors say, I'm like, dang. Yeah, they got some.
See, I do the same thing. I'll pause it and be like, can that actually work? Can that actually go into that? Can you double stuff that? Like, I'm curious. I'm sorry, FBI agent, for my search history.
Yeah, hopefully there's no like little you know how they have like these search terms that you type in and then they're immediately coming to your house. I really hope one of these days that doesn't happen. Well, the stuff that we're researching for these books, it's for research purposes, okay?
Like, you know what? I was just curious.
I just wanted to know.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm
so
sorry.
if
I
I
am
stop
now, but
producing books, it's because I'm in handcuffs and not in the good way either.
I blame all the authors for making me search stuff.
Going incognito mode. That's what I'm doing next time.
I just learned about that because I was asking my book club about a piercing. I was like, I don't want to Google this right now, but like, what does it look like? And someone was like, do incognito mode. I was like, you guys couldn't tell me this like 5 books before?
Or,
Like,
here you go. Here's one. Go to the local Starbucks, hook up to their Wi-Fi, then Google it. So if the SWAT team arrives, they don't know who the hell it was. You got all these women drinking coffees. They're not going to know which one it was. I guarantee you every single woman there probably has got some nasty stuff on their phones. They're going to have a lot of researching to do to figure out who it was.
right? So you have no idea. I'm over here looking up minotaurs. Like, what do they look like?
Yep.
I love that you do it too. That makes me feel validated.
Yeah, no, all the time. I have to be able to picture it. If I'm going to record it for y'all to know, to hear it, listen to it, I got to know what it looks like. So I gotta look it up.
Thank you. I'm such a visual learner too that I'm like I can't move on from this smexing unless I can picture what's going on. Because at one point I'm like, where did that hand come from?
Yeah. Hold on, let me go back and read a couple lines just to see where we left off and where we need to pick back up again.
Yes, because especially when it switched point of views, I was like, he was just over there with so and so. Now he's over there with those so and so. It's like, what happened in between here? I feel validated that you're the same way though.
Yeah,
I would love to see you in a monster romance. I think that would be phenomenal. Or like you as an evil character in like a fantasy.
that would be fun. I think I'd have a lot of fun with that. Now that I feel like kind of I feel comfortable in my skin, if you want to put it that way. I
Yeah.
feel like I'd have a lot of fun, trying to just make sure I'm not using my donut pillow that day, so there won't be any squeaks in the middle of recording. And I think it would be awesome.
You could just do a what is it? A graphic audio, so it just blend it.
Oh yeah, yeah. But from what I hear, I haven't heard it. Have you listened to the bloke? Have you listened? You did listen to the bloke.
Yes. Yes.
I hear James Cassidy, from what I hear, did a lot of sound effects in that one. I didn't know that because, again, I don't listen to it. So, if he can do sound effects with his stuff, I can add in my squeaky butt donut in mine. I'm just saying. Just throwing that out there.
I agree there. I was gonna say the author was just in here. She was just in here. I loved that book, and your character was so fun. But yes, I heard the sound effects. I was like, this is a good time.
That's the first time I've ever heard anybody talk about sound effects in a book, and I'm half tempted to get it just so I can be like, what the hell is everybody talking about sound effects? Because, we're not in the same room. I record my parts, they record their parts, and the production company puts it together, or publishing company puts it together, and they do an amazing job doing that. So I don't get to hear that. So when I keep hearing all this hype about it, I'm like, what is everybody talking about? So I kind of want to go on there, but I don't want to because I don't want to hear myself. If it was dual, I might, but I don't think I'm going to. I really don't. But I still will say my butt donut squeaks. Now we're allowed if James Cassidy allowed to do his little mouth noises.
Because he
He
sucked up
sucked his fingers? What the fudge?
It was glorious. We enjoyed it. We were not complaining.
I mean, did he have like chocolate syrup or something on his fingers to make it sound like that? There's no way somebody has that much spit in their mouth unless you're doing something to your fingers or to your mouth. That is like a valid question, right? Like, what did he do to his fingers to get that sound? I mean, I'm doing it right now and I'm not hearing nothing, honestly. And I am a very spitty person. No joke. Like, I have put something in this is probably the bad thing to say. Put something in my mouth and my mouth will water. Like it salivates. My dentist has to keep, no joke, my dentist has to keep the suction hose in my mouth while they're cleaning it because it's not much junk in my mouth. So if I can't make the noise while I'm putting my fingers in my mouth, we're going to do this. Nothing. What the fuck did he do? Oh, Lordy.
We need to go
tell you,
saliva.
my butt donut squeaks are still in.
A very spitty person. Yes, that was a direct quote.
Oh, Lordy.
Someone came in with a suction hose.
Suction cups. Dang.
Oh my god. You're gonna need
downloading now. Yep, I want to hear these suction noises. You ain't getting it from me.
Well, now I'm curious too. They're like, how did you pull this off?
Like, seriously, I've done it 3 times since we've been you haven't heard a thing. There is no way. I'm telling you, he had like chocolate syrup or stuck his fingers in a water cup or something. I don't know.
You're gonna go around your house after this and try it out.
No, I am. I'm gonna go pour it because I have a glass of milk before bed every night. I know, old. I'm gonna try it with my milk. I'm gonna see what it sounds like. It probably will taste disgusting, but I'm gonna try it.
It's gonna ruin your milk before bed now.
It really will. It will. It'll ruin the experience, but it'll be the experience.
Now I'm just gonna picture you walking around your house just sticking your fingers in different stuff to get the sound.
And get some test beakers, set it up on my counter. Did this one work? No. Did this one work? No. There we go. It was the strawberry milk that did it.
Just your little hypothesis and your little discovery notes.
Oh God! In my little brain, my rabbit hole brain, I'm gonna have like little graphs
Oh.
and charts. And the mouth noise was at this decibel when I did it on this one. That one is not the right one.
And then you're gonna have to go talk to him, be like, I know what you did.
Yep, I got it down. I've got the science to prove it. The research.
And then he's gonna be like, that's not what I did. And then he's gonna ruin all of your research.
Ah,
Oh,
yeah.
goodness gracious, that was so funny. Oh, I appreciate you chatting with us. I have not laughed this hard in so long, so I appreciate you coming in here and talking to us. We love it. And I was gonna ask if you would be okay if I did bring up some of our book club members, see if they have any questions for you.
Sure.
And then we do like to do a group photo. It's usually just a screenshot, and we usually, if you don't show your face, it's fine as long as we have your profile picture, if that's okay.
Bring it on.
Okay. I always like to make sure first. Oh my gosh, my eyes are still watering.
You will never look at a cup of milk the same.
I Oh my goodness. Let's see if it goes. There we go. There we go. There. Did that work? That worked. Yay!
Ooh, what are we watching?
Sorry. There we go. All right.
Hello.
Hi. Do we have questions or do we want to jump right into the photos? Tara, do you have any questions or do you want to just jump into the photos?
I don't have a question. I have a statement, just so you know.
I can barely hear you.
I was gonna say I don't have any questions. I had to come in the other room because football's on. So
Yes.
Uh,
That's not.
And I have like my little soundproofing too.
I know I'm like I have to come in here. Like I said, I don't have any questions, but I am currently listening to Lotus.
Oh, that's
Because
such
if you see this above my head, and
Is
I'm
that better?
hoping to get to Burning Ember next because I've been starting to go down your catalog. So
yes.
Lotus with Jennifer Hartman.
yes,
That was a good story. I enjoyed that
yeah.
story.
Yeah, like I said, still beating broke my heart, so I had to, hear the rest of the characters' stories. So
Well, I hope you enjoy it.
Okay, is this better?
I'm
Can you hear
thoroughly
me?
enjoying it so far.
So I'm just going to tell you, I was not a big audiobook person till about, I guess it's been about 6, 8 months ago that I really started getting into audiobooks. And I never cared who the narrators were. I didn't even look until about 3 months ago when these women were like, oh, you got to listen to this book. This voice will kill you. And so for me, and the reason I say this is that on this past weekend was the first weekend I've been home in probably, what's it been, girls, like 6 months that I haven't been a weekend at home. And I was home for a 4 day weekend. I almost got banned off TikTok because I posted my baseboards are begging me to stop because I could not put a book down. It was an audiobook and I was cleaning my house. I was literally on the floor, laying on the floor with a scrub brush, scrubbing every baseboard in my house because I didn't want to turn the book off. Like I was finding, I washed the inside of my washer and dryer by hand. I washed my laundry baskets because I couldn't stop listening. And
Yeah. You want to come to my house and
it's
do that for me?
if I had another really good one on ready, I would because for me it's a whole different experience. I'm exactly opposite of Christina. I go in blind just like she does. I cannot DNF. I can't. But an audiobook, you have like 2 minutes. If your voice does not pull me in 2 minutes, I can't do it. But it's Oh my God. Y'all have no idea what kind of wide range opening y'all evolved to where I can get so much more done, and still be able to read at the level I like to read at. So thank you. Because I like tripled my reading capacity by bringing in audiobooks. So now I'm at like 250 books a year instead of 110. So
Wow.
I get
Well, thank
5
you
books
for
a week
listening
now
to
instead
all
of
of us.
2. Yeah. I get 5 books a week now instead of just 2 books a week.
That's awesome.
And we're utterly obsessed with you, so
Oh,
that's it.
obsessed with audiobooks. And the darker, the better. I love my dark romance on audio more than I like it on visual. That's the sad part.
Oh no, that's. I mean, I guess if you, especially if you have the right voices that match the characters that you're listening to, um, it really can enhance the experience.
All right. Are we ready for the photo? I got my backup. I got Marissa in here too, so I can do this. All right, ready? 1, 2. Yes. All right. And because it's Instagram, we're going to switch. Anybody else have any last minute things to say to our beautiful guest?
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Let me switch with Wendy and Marissa. Does that work? Still trying to figure out Instagram. Did you guys get the invite? Oh, I think that worked. And then we got Wendy.
I don't know how to take you out, Tara. You might have to leave.
I'm gonna leave the live. I'm gonna leave the live.
Okay, it's not letting me.
And I'll
Doesn't
come
like me.
talk. Yeah, I'll pop right back in.
Instagram doesn't like me. There we go. There we go. Does that work? Usually with TikTok, we can have like 8 or 9 people in there, and then
Yeah, I
Instagram.
think I've heard it limits it. Do you want me to hop out so you can do your thing?
Oh no, we usually they make sure that they can talk to you and then get their picture with you. Make sure. Oh, there it goes. Yay! It
Hi.
worked.
Hello, hello. Oh, Milani's ready to go. Come on,
Come
girlfriend.
on.
Our youngest guest as well.
Okay, September 13th is the day. That's when Exile comes out.
That's easy to remember. Milani's birthday.
I
Oh, it
devoured
comes
that
out in
series,
90.
especially once I saw that you were on it. I was like, oh,
Oh
that
my
was the
God, that
fastest sell
series
of
is,
my life.
I'm in love with that series. Absolutely in love.
Steph did a good job with that series.
Yes, absolutely. I was listening to her and Joe the other night when he was recording, and he was doing it in the booth, and he had Steph there with him. And I was like, well, but where's Marie?
Well, they asked if I could, if I was able to hop in, and unfortunately, I had other plans, so I couldn't. But they did ask. They were like, "Hey, are you able to? They would love if you could." I'm like, "I wish I could, but I can't."
Oh, that would have been perfect.
Yes.
No, Steph did an awesome job with them, and she's got a couple other series that are coming out too that I'm really excited to get. I told her too. I was like, man, I want to dive into your other books. If I have time at some point in my life, I'm going to dive into them. So she's got other books that are coming out too on Audible that I'm really excited that have a huge power cast of people too that I'm going to listen to when I get time.
Is she in here?
She
Yes,
is.
she
Oh my God,
is.
she's in here.
Hi, Steph.
You know, and Maria, I was going to tell you, I like what you said about not showing your face. I recently listened to ALC, and the author put at the beginning that she intentionally did not describe the any of the main characters. She gave um, brief descriptions of some of the secondary characters, but they weren't anything that would give you any type of concept of what they look like. And I actually found myself listening to it, hearing about the characters, and then trying to put a picture to it. So I like what you said about that, and I wish that authors would do that more often with their audios, because it makes the listening pleasure a lot more intense, because you're listening, you're engrossed in the story, and you just really, really, really want to figure out what they look like, see how right or how wrong you are. So if they come out with book art or whatever, that's one thing. But she said, I intentionally do not describe any any of the characters for that very reason, so that you can make up your own mind as to what they look like. I was like,
Yeah, that's exactly. Yep, that's. She sounds like she's got the same mindset I do on it,
yeah,
on that sense.
absolutely. It made the listen a whole lot more fun too, actually. I buzzed right through that book. So
Well,
Yes.
I'm glad it hits why I'm doing it then. So I'm glad that it's working.
and in the same token, I'm glad that Steph vividly describes everybody in this series, because I just need it. We just need it.
Coming soon.
I'm
Yes.
so excited.
The 13th. I'm so excited.
That's really soon. That's like what, next week, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
I
as
thought I
Melanie
was going
said,
to have to
9 days.
eyeball read it for a second there. I was like, oh, I'm going to have to read it. But I get the book anyway, because I do the book and the audio at the same time. So
Yep. I'm the same way. Are we
and just
ready for our
download the
photo?
book.
Yes.
All right.
Ready?
Ready?
Ready? One, two. Yeah, you got it. Okay.
See, I could be over here picking my nose, and y'all would never know it, and you're just taking a
Ooh.
picture.
No.
You got your best side though.
Ha! Y'all will never know what I'm doing.
We had another guest, CJ Sweet. She doesn't show her face either, and she was like, "Get my good side." I was like, "I think we got it."
And we're like, okay. Okay, now turn. Now stick out your tongue. We're going to do some fun.
I was really tempted too when I was I usually post our pictures after just like, "Hey, this is book club." I was really tempted to draw a little stick figure on her picture.
Funny.
Like underneath her profile picture, just like a little stick figure for her. Just so she have a little body to go with ours. And I think we have a one more guest that needs to come in for her picture
Mhm.
and
I'm
question.
going to
Yep.
jump out.
I'm same. Bye.
Bye.
There.
All right, we have one more. But we really do appreciate you coming out and talking with us and making us just cackle this whole life. It only makes us enjoy your work and appreciate you even more because we get to see the human behind the art and chat with you. So we do appreciate you being able to talk to us.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
We had an absolute blast. I know I could speak for myself in book club. We're so obsessed with your work. So being able to find out your process and get to hear your insight, it just made it so much better.
Hi. Hi. Oh, I'm so excited. Thank you so much for the audiobook. It was amazing, really amazing. I loved it. Your performance, it's mind-blowing, to be honest. And I love this series so, so, so much.
It really is. Wait till y'all hear book 4. I mean, she did an amazing job with it. I don't want to give anything away, but she did an amazing job with it. She really did. I'm really happy with how it's blown up like it has, because she deserves all of the love that she's getting. She did an amazing job.
Oh, yeah. To be honest, I pre-ordered actually the book. I don't know if you well, in my country, there is no, almost there is no dark romance here, so we have to order it, and I can wait to have it. I'll have it by the end of October, so I'm really excited to read it.
You're gonna love it.
I'm quite sure.
I'm so excited. All right, are we ready? You ready for your photo as well? All
Yeah.
right, here we go. Ready? One, two. Yay! Okay, I think we got
Good.
everybody. Yay!
Yeah.
Yes, we do need signed
Thank you,
copies.
Christina.
Yeah, thank you for coming with us. Would you ever mail out signed copies of the books that you have narrated on? It's a good question.
Absolutely.
That's good food for thought for us too.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm one of those people like, hey, I'm super easy and down to earth. I mean, if you want something, I'll do what I can to make it work. I mean, that's kind of just my personality. So,
Yeah. Well, we thank you so much to be able to chat with
Yeah.
you, and I'm so looking forward to your upcoming projects, and we wish you nothing but the absolute best in your journey.
well, thank you. And you
It's
guys enjoy your book. I know that you guys are talking about a book afterwards, so enjoy that. Think about milk and butt donut squeaks. That's the only thing that I have to say.
I'm
okay.
gonna have to find a background for our pictures of milk and butt donuts now.
Yes.
But
Have a
thank
good
you
night,
so
ladies. Thank you.
you too. Thank
Thank
you
you
so
so much,
much.
Christina. Thank you so much. How I exit this?
Now, do we want to stay on here or do we want to migrate to TikTok to do book club discussion? Because I know only a few can get in here. Oh, you got Corfin to sign it? I want everybody to sign it. TikTok? Okay. Well, thank you everybody for joining us on here. We are going to navigate to TikTok in order to do our book club and talk about our book of the week. All right, we'll transfer over. I'm going to end this, post it, and then I'll hop on over. Bye, guys. I'll be there in a second.